What is going on, Guardians? Ember here with another one for you. Today I have a fantastic Stasis build using one of Destiny's least used exotics for Warlock. And we're going to be pairing that with the Winterbite exotic glaive that we got in Lightfall. But before we get into it, let's go ahead down below this video, absolutely obliterate that like and subscribe button. Let me know in the comment section down below if this is the kind of content you like to see. And don't forget to stick around at the end of the video for an original meme. Without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so let's go ahead and break this down. Firstly, we are using double special here. I have an Imperial Decree with Pugilist and Swashbuckler, and an Acacia's Dejection with Keep Away and Frenzy, mainly using it for the Frenzy, but, you know, when we don't have enemies that are close to us for the shotgun, we're going to use this, so Keep Away will be giving us some benefits there anyway. But mainly, we're going to be pairing our Winter's Guile gauntlets with the Winterbite exotic glaive. I'm sure most of us are familiar with it at this point. It is a glaive introduced with Lightfall. It has an intrinsic trait called Big Frigid Glaive, and it fires a large ball of energy that locks on to nearby targets and freezes them. So that's not to say that the large ball will seek targets. It's that similar to a frost grenade that the Warlocks can charge up, the Bleak Watcher grenade that ends up being a turret, it will fire little projectiles out of it and freeze those enemies a little quicker than the projectile from the turret will. It also, while we are meleeing, will be doing a little bit more damage than any normal glaive that we have on, a lot more damage. And we have our Shadebinder subclass here. We're going to be pairing it with, here's what I have going right now. I have a Healing Rift, Burst Glide, Penumbral Blast, and then I did go with the Duskfield Grenade specifically to disrupt Overload champions, just a little bit easier. Our aspects are Ice Flare Bolts and the Glacial Harvest. To go along with those, we have fragments. The first one, we have Whisper of Durance, we have Whisper of Chains, Whisper of Fissures, and Whisper of Conduction. Moving on over to our mod slots here, you can kind of see over here what we got going on if you're interested in that at all. I do really only have 3 of the pieces of armor here at 5 energy because I'm running a little bit low on cores, but this just goes to show what you can do with even just 5 energy on some of your pieces. You don't have to have things masterwork and have tons and tons of mods to make this build work. It's pretty cheap once you do have the exotic here. Even if you weren't using this exotic, it's still very viable either way. So let's go ahead and get into some of the gameplay and talk about what makes it special. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and let probably the whole run that I had in this Lost Sector go. I got through it flawless, and it just has a whole lot of really neat things that go on with the interactions between the glaive and the gauntlets. Winter's Guile is very strong. Melee kills give you a damage boost which stacks up to 5 times, and that ends up giving you about a 275% damage boost for about 5 seconds. So it's a little bit short-lived, but if you can take advantage of it, if you can find good ways to make sure that you are getting melee kills before you really go in with your glaive or your melee on things like champions, that's really where the bread and butter of this build comes to life. So we're going to go ahead and lure out the unstoppable champion.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
In the back over here in this area, and we're going to see how many of the different enemies we can lure over as well, like the little scions. They are perfect for getting the buff to actually proc. If you don't get any, no real worries either, because after about 3 or 6 hits on here, you're going to apply slow, and after you do that a couple of times, it's going to proc a freeze on the champion as well, and that stuns our unstoppable champions, and it makes it next to impossible for them to kill us. And if you ever get low on health or anything like that, you should have some of your glaive energy charged so that you can block those shots. That is definitely key. You can stay alive through a lot of damage, way more damage than you would probably think that you would be able to survive through. It's actually insane if you can time those right. We'll show that off when we actually get to the boss up here, because you can he just really can't do anything to you. Even if you are standing right next to him, if you have full enough glaive energy, there's just no way you'll actually die there. Of course, in a Legend Lost sector like this, you will have to be careful to not die, take your angles right, and, you know, make sure you're staying in safe areas. I definitely want to emphasize as much as possible, if you're going to use a build like this, definitely run double special, because you're going to be generating a ton of extra heavy ammo. We're going to need it, especially when we are going through all of the champions and everything. We don't have anything that can technically deal with champions, right? We don't have any weapons that have an intrinsic barrier or unstoppable or overload. We are only going to have overload and unstoppables here in this area, but with the glaive we're going to be able to disrupt any of them. With the unstoppable champion here, shattering them after they've been frozen will cause them to be disrupted. And you see this, I'm taking tons of damage from the scions. I'm still just backing up, slowly putting up my shield, and we're able to survive tons and tons of shots from these scions. We would never be able to do this otherwise. And you're able to sit back in relative safety, letting these scions get frozen, and then you can go in and get the stacks of the Warlord Sigil to try and gain a whole bunch of damage boost for when we hit these champions. Right here where we go up to attack this unstoppable champion is really where you can see just how powerful it is. We only have 3 stacks of it. We're going to chew through that unstoppable champion, get a 4th stack, get a 5th stack from another scion off to the side, and then watch this. We're going to come over and hit 6 times on this overload champion, and they are going to go down. No questions asked, super easy. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. It's so powerful here. See, I'm going to try and circumvent some of these scions here, go over the top of them, but I totally mess up my jump. I'm a Warlock, as you can tell, and so I catch my foot. And normally that would be a death sentence in a Legend Lost sector like this, but you're able to just hold your shield up, back up slowly, get back into some area where you can actually feel safe, pop a shot from the glaive, and then everything is frozen. Nothing will be able to touch you after that. You can regain your sanity after almost losing it like that. At least for me, that's what I did. So it's definitely just really useful. There's tons of utility for it. Alright, and so like I said, I am using my Duskfield Grenade to stun my Overload champions. So, we're going to go and try and get this charged up here, throw down a Rift, since I do have the Rift mod on to give me a little grenade energy. Usually the champion will jump behind all these enemies, and it's really odd. It'll just kind of teleport over. You'll see it right here. It just teleports right in there and gets stunned instantly, and then you can just go to town on it. Since the Overload champion does get stunned by just a slow effect, over time the glaive will simply stun the champion. However, it's a little bit funky sometimes and doesn't work the first or even the second time. So sometimes you gotta watch, put your shield up in between and just kind of see when those attacks are coming in. And you can just way overextend. I'm way overextended in this cubby here, and just trying to freeze things so that I can stay alive. It's just absolutely so powerful. This is one of the most fun builds I've used in a while, and one of the first times I've used double special, which I am definitely going to be interested in here. And so you can see he's slammed right there, and you just put your shield up. He's not gonna, it doesn't kill you. You take barely any damage. Your health does not regen, so you will have to be backing up to go get your health back. But I mean, really, once you get a little bit of damage taken on you, if you have any shield energy at all, just make sure you kind of keep it up, shoot that glaive projectile around so you can gain as much energy as possible, and be careful. You want to make sure you're really timing those shields. I really cannot stress that enough. And boom, just like that, in just about 6 minutes or so in here in this Lost sector, we clear it. We're all the way done in just about 6 minutes. That's an easy flawless. Let's go ahead and throw that meme up on the screen. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about the Winter's Guile exotic gauntlets for Warlock. I personally, when those came out in Vanilla Destiny 2, I thought they were absolute garbage. I used them for probably a day, maybe, when I got them, and other than that, just left them behind. Let me tell you, boy was I wrong. Alright, Guardians, and that's all from me for now. Until next time, be without form, swift as lightning.